Hey, you made it. Glad you could join us today, my friends. It's Tim, your good buddy and Bible teacher, and just happy as a clam to be here with you today on our journey through Scripture, Genesis to Revelation. And this year, our reading for today was in Ecclesiastes, chapter 9 to chapter 12. You know, my grandfather used to have a small dairy farm in Michigan, and when I was young, I always enjoyed visiting there. We had the best time. We would milk cows, make hay, and plant crops. And, as a kid, I used to think farmers just had fun all day long. People used to tell me, no, this is work. But there's some things you can learn from that whole process, and the Bible does. It uses farmers as a good example of what we call the law of the harvest. And you'll find that in different forms throughout the Bible. The law of the harvest is just this: you reap what you sow. You reap more than you sow, and you reap at a later time. And Ecclesiastes chapter 11 takes that principle. It builds on it through Solomon's example. He was a person, I think, who loved the soil. He loved crops. He loved animals, and we see some of the things that he learned in chapter 11, verse 5 and 6, for example. Tells us, "Thou knowest not what is the way of the Spirit, nor how the bones do grow in the womb of her that is with child. Even so thou knowest not the works of God who maketh all. In the morning sow thy seed, in the evening withhold not thy hand. For thou knowest not whither shall prosper, either this or that, whether they both shall be alike good." Just keep at it. The New Testament puts it this way in Galatians 6:9. "Let us not be weary in well doing, for in due season we shall reap, if we faint not." Some things are inevitable that we see in this chapter. Yeah, there's some clouds that are going to rain. A tree lies right where it fell. You're not going to change that. Solomon says some folks won't take risks because they're afraid of these occurrences. They don't sow their seed because they fear the wind might blow it away. Uh, and you know what? They're right. The wind might blow their seed away, and that seed may germinate and bring a wonderful crop also. Some people think it might rain, and so they don't try to harvest their crops. And they're right too. Sometimes when you set out to do something positive, something negative gets in your way. I can almost guarantee you it's going to happen at some point along the way. But don't sit on your hands throughout your entire life just because bad things sometimes happen. You know they're coming. That's Solomon's application in verse 6 in this chapter. He says, "Even so, thou knowest not whether shall prosper, either this or that, morning or evening, or whether they both shall be good, alike good." Get busy, do something from God, even if you don't know exactly how it will turn out. Folks, we have no excuse for living a dull, passionless, passive life. Don't worry that you may fail if you try something. Failure is only certain if you don't try. Yes, I've known some people who were terrified that they might fail at something. And I always say there's a good solution for the problem of fear of failure, and that is go ahead and fail. You'll find out that failure is not always fatal, and you'll realize it's not that bad after all. Even if you do fail, you can learn something from it. You can try again. You'll be better at it the next time because of failure. So don't wait for ideal conditions to be active for God and then to do His work. It's interesting. Matthew 9:38 says, "Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest that He will send forth laborers into His harvest." I find it so interesting that Christ describes Himself in those terms as like Jesus is a farmer of sorts. He's the Lord of the harvest, and pray that God will send more laborers there with you. The lesson of this chapter is that works of faith are never done under ideal circumstances. We don't need to wait for everything to fall into place. If you're waiting for things to improve before you serve the Lord, you'll never get anything done. Statistically, 1 out of every 246 deaths in our country are the result of falling down. Did you know that? And so I guess you could say the only way to be safe is don't get up. But if you try that, you'll live a fruitless life and a very dull life as well. So that's the lesson in chapter 8. Get up, do something, because you don't know what the results are going to be. You don't know which one of your actions is going to take hold and bear fruit. Well, stay in the Word, my friends. Tomorrow our reading is in the Song of Solomon. It's the entire book. You find 8 short chapters there in that book, and you can do it. You'll be blessed for it, and I can't wait to be together again with you then. I look forward to it. Have a great day, folks.